Yeah, it's just letters. It's literally just letters. I tell my school, my brain cells will break.
I now call this meeting of the Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, January 30th, 2025 with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations, the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band, Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. And with that, Speaker Pro Tem Hesseltine will take it away with our first roll call.
Alvarez.
Here.
Bailey.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Blood.
Here.
Bolton. Brugan. Casement.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Cox.
Here.
Ediger. Erickson.
Here.
George.
Here. Here.
Giefer.
Here.
Glanville.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Hassan Shakib. Hannah. Did someone say here? Or no? Okay. Hoffman.
Here.
Holmes.
Here.
Holzmeister.
Here.
Islam. Jacobson Madeline.
Here.
Jacobson Michael. Jonak. Carton.
Here.
Kidd.
Here.
Kermer.
Here.
Kramer. Lee.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
McCullough.
Here.
Moltz.
Here.
Nagai Velasquez. Otto.
Here.
Owen.
Here.
Palenko.
Here.
Prey.
Here.
Robbie. Rafferty.
Here.
Richenberg.
Here.
Shah Savari. Shirky.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
Weaver. Zacco. Alrighty. Following our first roll call, we're going to have a quick moment of silence for those who may have been impacted by the plane crash yesterday. Alrighty.
Okay, and with that, we are going to go into second open period. And if you'll please close your laptops because today we have Dr. Susan Metzger with the Kansas Water Institute.
Very good. I'll do my best not to wander. Turn this on for the benefit of folks on Zoom. We'll start with this. So rather than a PowerPoint, I thought if you wanted to scan that QR code, it'll take you to what we call a story map, and you can just browse through there for the things that interest you most rather than resting on certain slides. So my name is Susan Metzger. I serve as the Director of Interdisciplinary Programs here at K-State, and one of those being the opportunity to serve as the Director of the Kansas Water Institute. So I had the invitation to come and share with you this evening what the Water Institute is, and more importantly, opportunities for students to engage in that work. And I'd really also love to hear, as I share examples of ways you can already engage, I'd like to hear your feedback of things that might be keenly interesting to you, that the Water Institute could serve for students, so that if you have an interest in water resources, we can be here to serve you and help grow your interests. So the Kansas Water Institute is just about a year old here at K-State. When we launched the Next Gen Strategic Plan, we recognized that there were certain issues that really took multiple disciplines to be able to make meaningful progress and change, and one of those being the concerns we have with our state's water resources. And so as you're scrolling through that storybook, you're seeing what some of those concerns are. So if you're from Western Kansas, you might know that Western Kansas is groundwater driven. We're dependent on the Ogallala High Plains Aquifer, and that is a declining resource. We know if we were to take no further action, that resource would be 70% depleted in the next 50 years, and much of our state's economy is dependent on that reliable water resource. Here in eastern Kansas, we're mostly surface water driven with a series of reservoirs, just like Tuttle Creek Reservoir, which is just around the corner from us here. But those are all artificial impoundments. We're not in Minnesota in the land of the lakes. We have these artificial impoundments. They're really good at holding back floodwaters, but also really good at holding back things that come with floodwaters like sediment and nutrients. So again, looking out into the future, if we were to take no further action, those reservoirs would be 40% full of sediment in the next 50 years. And 60% of our state's population rely on that water storage for their public drinking water and also to supply the energy source for our lights and everything else that we depend on. So those are two really critical resources. And then a shared resource concern across the entire state are impaired water quality water bodies. So more than 80% of the state's water bodies have some level of impairment. So that might be nutrients, it might be sedimentation, or some other constituent. So the role of the Water Institute, all of those problems are really daunting, and we know that it won't just take some engineers or policy experts, great statisticians. It's going to take all disciplines coming together to help tackle those concerns. So the Water Institute helps bring together those disciplines and also across research, teaching, and engagement. And even though we're housed here at K-State, we are distinctly purple. We're also interinstitutional, because we know that there are talented people at our other Regents institutes that are really important for helping to advance the research, teaching, and engagement we need to tackle this. So even though we're just a year old, we've already got some really great student opportunities set up, particular for undergraduates. We do support undergraduate research experiences. We have 2 fellows that are supported through the Institute right now, one in geology and one in chemical engineering. And we're always looking for students interested in undergraduate research related to water who might become interested in becoming a fellow with the Institute. We provide all sorts of hands-on applied learning experiences. So you might have a particular project you have in mind, whether a river cleanup or something like that, and the Water Institute can help support that activity. And then also, if you are ever looking to go to a conference and present your work related to water, or you want to grow your professional network related to water resources, the Water Institute is available to help support your travel to attend those conferences. So those are just a couple of examples. We also have graduate student experiences. Right now we're supporting 5 graduate students in the Water Institute as fellows. So rather than give you a whole bunch of slides and background, I thought I would just give you that hint, leave you behind with the story map so that you can explore the things that interest you most. But I would also be really interested in just knowing the types of things that would be meaningful for you as students for the Water Institute to support you, whether that's your research or something in the classroom or an engaged activity you'd like to have out in the community. So with that, I'll just stop and see what questions or feedback you have.
Senator Glasscock.
Thank you for coming here to talk with us today. Have you all been in contact with the Kansas Water Office, Kansas Water Authority, and are there any ways that you can connect students, undergraduates and graduates, with those potentially working or interning or having opportunities with those institutions?
Excellent question. So yes, actually we have a seat on the Water Authority. We're an ex officio member of the Kansas Water Authority, which is the state's advisory committee to the governor and legislature on water. And because of that, we also have a really great relationship with the Kansas Water Office. When I moved to Kansas 20 years ago, my first job was with the Kansas Water Office, so really great relationship with them. The Water Office is the state's water planning and policy board or agency. So they help support research here at K-State and also engagement activities. So for example, we received some Water Office funds last year to do a series of engagements with feedlots in western Kansas to find some alternative water sources and feed sources that would help lower the demand on the Ogallala. So really great relationship with the Water Office. I see Andrew Lee is on the Zoom screen. Andrew Lee is one of our Flinchbaugh Food and Ag Policy Fellows. The Water Office was really interested in having a fellow placed in their office this legislative session to deal with water policy, but those positions are in high demand. So Andrew and his fellow Flinchbaugh Fellows were placed in other state agencies, but the Water Office is interested in placing interns who are interested in water policy. Thanks for that question.
Hey, Susan. It's great to see you. I know virtually, I wish I was there in person, but I guess my question for you is, I know when I went to Garden City recently, we talked to the city manager. They're looking at kind of reusing industrial wastewater that they use at their feedlots and their Tyson plants to kind of reintegrate back into their water system down there. And so I was wondering if there are any other cool initiatives or research projects that you guys are doing at the Kansas Water Institute out in western Kansas to kind of replenish Ogallala.
You bet. Thanks for the question, Andrew, and good to see your name up there on the screen. So yes, Garden City and the city of Dodge City, most people may not imagine this, but they really have some of the most progressive water reuse systems anywhere in the nation. So they take wastewater from industrial facilities. So in the city of Garden City, there's a major milk processing plant. They take milk from local dairies, they dry that milk, and we export the dried milk, but we have the water retained there as a waste product here in Garden City. So they're able to treat that, and then they apply that to ball fields, other places within the municipal boundaries, and also are figuring out a way where they can send it to a wildlife preserve that's just located south of Garden City, and also help irrigate some fields in that area as well. So really great way of being able to make the best beneficial use of every drop of water that you have. In Dodge City, very similar. Many of you may know that Hilmar Cheese just located a new cheese processing plant in Dodge City. Came with a lot of concerns about what that would mean for growing the dairy industry and growing cheese production, which is water intensive, but they're able to recapture a great percentage of the water that comes off of that plant and elsewhere in Dodge City and return it for beneficial use in that area. So if students were ever interested in doing some field trips to these types of facilities, Garden City and Dodge City, they're only like 4.5 hours away. It feels like maybe it's far away, but it really is a great opportunity just to get off campus, see things firsthand and experience it. And if it's not those water recycling systems, if there's something else you're really curious about, visiting Playa Lakes or visiting a reservoir or meeting with certain people, those are the types of experiences the Water Institute can facilitate for students.
Senator Hoffman.
Yeah, I had a question that kind of stems off Senator Glasscock's question. Since you work with the state's water office, I was just wanting to know how, if at all, you guys are tackling the state's water resource challenges and what legislation you're trying to push to fix the water that our state desperately depends on.
Great. So I will say there is a Senator Hoffman in our Kansas legislature too, who would have probably asked very similar questions. So it's good preparation for the legislative session to
Time
hear
for
that
questions
question.
has expired.
Senator Shirkey.
I move to extend the time for questioning by 4 minutes.
Is there an objection? The speaker has more time.
Thank you, sir. So maybe one great example of that. So this legislative session, there's going to be quite a bit of interest on putting in legislation to require the groundwater management districts in western Kansas to come up with more corrective controls for driving down their water use. And so to make those changes, to use less water really takes, you need to learn better crops that you could grow, more irrigation efficient technology that you might employ, understand what the economic implications of those might be. And so in partnership with the Water Office, the Water Institute has been driving a lot of that research to help folks figure out just those things. In our Western Kansas experiment stations doing that type of research, and here on campus we have a great team of economics professors that help do that research as well.
Senator Glanville.
So, looking through that slide deck thing that you gave us a QR code for, I see that every university that's K-4 certified gets funding for research. Are there any like cross-university research happening? Because I'm from the Emporia area, so I know that Kansas State has a field on Highway 50 that could easily, Emporia State students and K-State students could access to work on some of that research. Does any of that happen?
Absolutely. So I'll also mention the Water Institute has an external advisory board with members from each of our regions and institutes that advise us. So Rachel Bose is our representative for Emporia State University. They do such great work, especially from ecological types of research. So great partnerships there. Maybe one really great example that we have actively underway right now is with the University of Kansas and Kansas State University using a tool called OpenET, which takes together several different satellite tools and modeling tools to be able to allow us to assess water use remotely from satellites. Usually a very like on the ground intensive type of activity, and now we're learning how to do it remotely through satellites in partnership with KU.
Thank you.
Senator Shirkey.
I'd love it if you could give us some more perspectives on the kind of roadblocks you face into implementing solutions. Things like, what kinds of data do you have a hard time collecting? And, what kinds of policies do you have a hard time advocating for in your capacity?
Excellent question. So I would say Kansas is really fortunate. We have a wealth of data when it comes to water resource management, more than any of our neighbors. It really is an envy, and similarly an envy of the type of water policy that we have in place. So I'd say we actually have the tools. We have the data. We have a really great policy. It's a people issue. These are hard things to change. Decades of types of management on our landscape. Reservoirs that were built 50 years ago. These are not easy solutions. They take hard decisions. And so I think the hardest thing really is getting people to come together of a common consensus on making those hard choices, in some cases making financial sacrifices in order to conserve and extend our natural resources. Thank you.
Senator Lee.
Sorry, I was having technical difficulties. Susan, I guess, a lot of us in the students kind of come from different disciplines that aren't necessarily ag. And so I guess my question here, I don't know if you kind of touched on it earlier, is, why should we, especially as, young people that are going to be, leaders in our communities, future entrepreneurs, to really be plugged into the Kansas Water Institute and what's going on in Western Kansas with the Ogallala?
Absolutely. Well, water resources touches all of our lives, whether you're invested in agriculture or some other industry. Agriculture is a keen part of my background, and it is a largest economic driver for the state. So it often is the forefront of these types of conversations. But every community in Kansas has some sort of water resource challenge. When you looked at the map that shows you the impaired water bodies, you can't really find a place in Kansas unless they just don't have water that is not having a water quality concern. So I think the thing that is probably, why people should care, why you should drive your activity around this is everything that we do, whether it's for economic generation or the health of a community, the health of our humans and people, is dependent in some way, shape, or form of a reliable, clean water supply. And if we don't have that, all other resources really are second fiddle.
Time for questions has expired.
Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
With that, are there any further first open period speakers? Okay, seeing none, we'll go into the approval of the minutes. The minutes were passed out yesterday along with the agenda and legislation tracking information. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Glanville.
I move to approve the minutes as stands.
Second.
Is there an objection? The minutes will stand approved, and we'll go to announcements. 1, welcome back everyone. As we kick off another exciting semester, let's continue working together to amplify student voices, create meaningful change, and make this year our most impactful yet. 2, proxies. If you're going to be absent from a Student Senate meeting, please fill out this link even if you aren't sure if your absence will be excused. 3, if you'll be physically absent from Student Senate but would still like to attend via Zoom, please fill out the Student Senator Zoom request form. Speaker Request will review requests based on the Student Senate attendance policy. Please submit requests here. 4, want to give props to someone in Student Senate, fill out the Senate shout-out form, and Speaker Pro Tem Heseltine will read them at the end of our meeting. Fill out your shout-outs here. 5, the SGA Member of the Week is Brandon Kermer. He has been instrumental in preparing for the upcoming elections and being an excellent problem solver with IT. Thank you, Brandon, for your hard work and dedication. 6 is the upcoming events calendar, and the quote of the week is "The price of leadership is responsibility" by Clement Attlee. Moving on to commendations. The first is Resolution 53. Is there a motion to consider? Senator Shirkey.
I move to consider Resolution 53.
Second.
If the author will please come forward or unmute.
Well, great. Glad to come over to the podium online. Resolution 242553, commendation to K-State Meat Judging Team. Authors Andrew Lee, sponsors Audrey Byers, Margot Stewart, and Carson S. Cuesta. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSUSGA, aims to celebrate student excellence. Whereas it is important to recognize programs that foster student success on and off campus. Whereas Kansas State University's meat judging team attended the 2024 International Intercollegiate Meat Judging Contest hosted in Dakota City, Nebraska. Whereas the accomplishments of the meat judging team won the national champion International Intercollegiate Meat Judging Contest. Whereas the meat judging team posted top scores in beef judging, pork judging, placings, reasons, and overall beef. Whereas the last time Kansas State University won the title was in 1992, whereas Reese Gear, Haley Wirtz, and Hayden Law were recognized as All-Americans for a combination of their contest and academic performance, and whereas the leadership and commitment displayed by the meat judging team and its members highlight their dedication to excellence and their extensive expertise in evaluation, be it resolved that 1, Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSUSGA, recognizes and congratulates the Kansas State University meat judging team and their accomplishments at the International Intercollegiate Meat Judging Contest. In Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Vice President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the President of the Agriculture and Quality Council, Delvin Peterson, Assistant Professor Dr. Travis Twin, Eldon Gideon, Dean of the College of Agriculture, Dr. Ernie Minton, Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Dr. Thomas Lane, Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Jesse Perez Mendez, and University President, Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections? Senator Glanville.
On line 38, is there supposed to be a comma between Eldon Gideon and then Dean of College of Agriculture?
No. That's the title of the.
Okay.
Any further questions or corrections for the author? Okay, is there a motion to approve? Senator Shirkey.
I move to approve Resolution 53 unanimously.
Is there a second? Is there an objection? Okay, the resolution will stand approved. Okay, with that, Resolution 54 is next. Is there a motion to consider? Senator Otto.
I move to consider Resolution 54. Second.
It's all yours, Andrew.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is my favorite one. Commendation to K-State Collegiate Crops Judging Team. This is Resolution 242554. Authors Andrew Lee, sponsors Audrey Byers, Marvin Stewart, and Carson S. Cuesta. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSUSG, aims to celebrate student excellence. Whereas it is important to recognize programs that foster student success on and off campus. Whereas Kansas State University's Collegiate Crops Judging Team competed in Kansas City, Missouri, and Chicago, Illinois in late November of 2024. Whereas the team swept the 2024 National Championship competitions, earning first place overall team rankings in both legs of the competition. Whereas the team competed in multiple events in Kansas City, showcasing their excellence in the fields of agronomy and agriculture, and earned first place in the grain and seed quality team event, as well as first place in grain breeding, seed analysis, and plant and seed identification events. Whereas the team's exceptional performance continued in Chicago, where they were once again named the overall champion, securing first place in the seed analysis and plant and seed identification events, and second place in the grain grading event. Whereas this marks the team's 33rd fall national title since the beginning of the competition in 1923, and whereas the leadership and commitment displayed by the Collegiate Crops Judging Team and its members highlight their dedication to excellence and their extensive expertise in evaluation. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSUSG, recognizes and congratulates the Kansas State University Crops Judging Team and their accomplishments at the International Intercollegiate meat judging contest in Section 2 upon passage by the Student Senate and singing to the Student President resolution to the College Dr. Crop Science Dr. Rachel Lecoq, Academic Coordinator Sarah Fry, Head of the Department Dr. Rosh Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs and Dean of Students Dr. Thomas Lane, Provost and Executive Vice President Dr. Jesse Perez Mendez, and University President Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Chair Lilly.
International Intercollegiate Meat Judging Contest should say the Collegiate Crops Contest.
Okay, are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Senator Griffith.
I move to approve Resolution 54 unanimously.
Second.
Is there an objection? The resolution will stand approved. With that, we will now go into approval of appointments. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 55? Senator Glasscock.
I move to consider Resolution 55.
Second.
The author will please come forward.
Resolution 242555, authors Joseph Lilly, Carson S. Cuesta, sponsors Senate Operations Committee. Whereas there are currently 4 vacancies for the position of Student Senator for the Carl R. Ice College of Engineering. Whereas the list of candidates from the 2024 KSU SGA general election has been exhausted. And whereas Hector Ramirez was nominated by the Engineering Caucus in its capacity to fill the vacancy, be it resolved that Section 1, the following individual be approved as a student senator for the Carl R. Ice College of Engineering, Hector Ramirez.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Griffith.
Line 10, there should be an "and" at the end of the sentence.
Any further questions or corrections? Senator Shirkey.
A question for the author. Were there any notable causes for delay in the nominating process that you'd like to share with the group? Any way, any process?
Yeah, I got the list in early November, and our last meeting was mid-November. So it's just been a long time since we've had committee meetings.
Any further Senator Congressman Kidd.
For line 10, I know it was mentioned about adding the "and," but should it be comma and semicolon? Right?
It should be semicolon and.
Okay.
I already flipped the page, but it should be semicolon and.
Thank you.
Any further questions or corrections? Okay, seeing none, does somebody have a motion to approve the resolution? Senator Shirkey.
I move to approve Resolution 55 unanimously.
Second.
Is there an objection? Okay, the resolution will stand approved. And we have several swearing-ins, so I'll wait till we do a bulk thing. So with that, we will now move on to Resolution 56. Does somebody have a motion to consider? Senator Glasscock.
I move to consider resolution 56.
Second.
If the author will please come forward.
Resolution 242556, approval of appointment of the 2025 Elections Promotion Commission. Authors Brandon Kermer, Paige Vogelmore, Carson Esquesta, and Andrew Navarro. Whereas it is necessary to approve of the Elections Promotion Commission before the 2025 Kansas State University Student Governing Association elections. Whereas this newly established commission is responsible for promoting and marketing to the entire student body, focusing not only on elections but also on educating students about the operations of KSU SGA. Whereas the commission is made up of the elections commissioner, communications director, 5 at-large members, and an SGA advisor. And whereas the at-large members were agreed upon by the elections commissioner, student body president, speaker of the student senate, and the attorney general. Be it resolved that Section 1, the following individuals be approved as at-large members of the Elections Promotion Commission for the 2025 SGA election season. Andrew Lee, Anna Koch, Byron Sides, Max Black, and Tanner Koch.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Congressman Black.
I move to approve resolution 242556 unanimously.
Second.
Is there an objection? Okay, the resolution will stand approved, and if the new senator and the promotion commission will come up, I will swear you in. Okay, I'll start with just the new senator. So if you will raise your right hand and say, I will at the end. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of student senator and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association.
I will.
Okay, and for the committee, or is it commission?
Commission.
Okay, great. If you'll raise your right hand and say will at the end, I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Election Promotion Commissioner and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association.
I will.
Okay, if you will pass the mic down and say your name, major, hometown, favorite smell. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Hector Ramirez, major in construction science and management. Favorite smell, probably when, the grass is, just mowed, that fresh grass. So.
Hi guys, I'm Anna Koch. I'm studying regional and community planning. My favorite smell is cookie dough, and I'm from Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hi guys, my name is Max Black. I am a chemistry major from Carbondale, Kansas. And I want to take a moment to say that I am grateful that none of the three of us said that our favorite smell was rain, because I think that that is not a correct answer to this question. Anyways.
Oh yeah, you have to do it too, Andy. Andrew.
Why, you waiting for me?
Yeah, you have to do the name, major, hometown.
Oh, okay, I got you, King. My name is Andrew Lee. I'm from Wichita, Kansas. Proud. I'm a political science major, and my favorite scent, I love lavender. Lavender tea, lavender candles, whatever. Lavender, it's very good.
Okay, with that, we will now move on to Resolution 57. Is there a motion to consider? Senator Glanville.
I move to consider resolution 57. Second.
If the author will please come forward.
Howdy. Resolution 242557, approval of the 2025-2026 Attorney General, authors Andrew Navarro, sponsors Senate Operations Committee in Carson Cuesta. Whereas it is necessary to approve the Attorney General, AG, for the 2025-2026 academic school year. Whereas this position was sufficiently advertised. Whereas applications were made available to all students who showed interest in the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. Whereas there were 4 applicants for the AG position. Whereas the following individual has been selected by the Attorney General Selection Committee, made up of 3 members of each branch, to serve on the basis of their leadership ability, experience, and dedication to serving the Kansas State University student body throughout the next term. And whereas this appointment is subject to the approval by the Student Senate. Be resolved that Section 1, the following individual be approved to serve as Attorney General for the 2025-2026 Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KCUSGA term, Katie Albertson.
Wow. With that, are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution? Senator Glasscock.
I move to approve Resolution 57 unanimously.
Second.
Is there an objection? Okay, if you will come on down.
All right, Katie, do you mind raising your right hand? And then respond with I do. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Attorney General and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. All right, hit me with your name, major, favorite smell. There's another one. And hometown.
My name is Katie Albertson. I am studying organizational and human resource management. I'm from Stillwell, Kansas, which is like a small town right outside of Overland Park. And my favorite smell is rain. Thank you. Because
Please
that's a valid
maintain
answer.
decorum. Okay. Whoa. Okay, with that, we will now go into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report? Chair Koch.
Long time no see, everybody. So a few things. Resolution 52 is still in committee. It got referred to us at the last Senate of the semester. We just haven't met yet. Also, this upcoming Monday during our oversight meeting at 7:30, we'll be doing a little legislation workshop. So if you guys want to come and like learn how to write legislation, and it can be like different types, feel free to come. If you can't, just let me know and I'll be able to like send you information like little how-tos. And then lastly, I not really committee related, I just wanted to share this because our executive branch isn't here. Patrick Biggs, who is our health and well-being director, just graduated, which yay for him. And so I will now be leading the Student Health Advisory Committee meetings. So if anyone is interested in joining those, let me know. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or ask me right now.
Are there any questions? Yeah, okay. Are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report? Chair Lilly.
But the worst part of my job has started, so we sent out expulsion emails, which is not fun. If you got one of those, just respond with something. It's better than nothing. In other news, Gavin and I will be doing a legislation workshop and Q&A during the Emerging Leaders Coordinators meeting next week at 5:30 on Thursday. Sorry, during the Emerging Leaders meeting, not Coordinators meeting. And other than that, we have a few seats we expect to get filled and some that are vacant, including one in ag. So if you have anyone in ag that wants to join Senate, let me know.
Are there any questions? Okay, are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report? Chair Lee.
Thanks, Carson. Yeah, so a little update here. So we got referred Bill 24-2550, which was, I believe, amendments to some of the statutes regarding DPF funding. Our committee voted to hold that bill for onto another week as we work out some verbiage and wording issues with Amy and Mirta as well. And so we're going to continue workshopping it at our next meeting on Monday and hopefully get it out then so that we have a good product to send out to y'all. So that's kind of basically it. That's what we got going on in DID.
Are there any questions? Okay, are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report? Chair Strunk.
All right, good to see everybody here this evening. The Student Allocations Committee did not have a meeting this last weekend. We are going to have a meeting this coming weekend, and we won't have a meeting on Super Bowl Sunday. But basically, we have $8,613 left. We have about 10 or 11 pending applications. We're going to hear about 7 of them this weekend, and we have about $30,000 in requests. So that is why later tonight, you will see a bill requesting a $10,000 reserve disbursement to the campus-wide budget line item.
Are there any questions? Senator Glasscock.
If I asked this last semester and you told me, I do apologize, but how much went back into that reserve from the previous year's allocations?
None. We took $10,000 from reserves because we were over budget. So, yeah. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report? Okay, seeing none.
I think the question from Andrew.
Did you have a question, Senator Lee?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just had a. Can Gavin, can you talk about did you talk about our funding workshop next week?
Oh, I can, yeah. And then there's going to be a funding workshop next Wednesday from 4 to 5 in the Bluemont room, I believe. I'll probably be right, Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The funding deadlines are coming up next week. So.
Wednesday, 4 to 5, Bluemont room. So if you have any organizations that want to learn about funding for the end of this year, next year, we'll be there, both Andrew and I.
Is that it?
That's it from me.
Okay, great. Any further committee chairs who would like to give a report or ask questions? Okay, excellent. We'll now go into director's report. Are there any directors that would like to give a report? Elections, Commissioner Kermer.
I just wanted to give a brief update on what we're looking like with filing. This is also your reminder to go file. You can literally go do that right now. So, Union Governing Board candidates, out of the 4 seats, we have 5 students who have filed. College of Agriculture, out of the 6 seats, we have 2 who have filed. College of Architecture and Planning and Design, that has 4 seats, there's 2 people that have filed. College of Arts and Sciences, that has 12 seats, there's 7 people that have filed. College of Business, who has 9 seats, has 6 people who have filed. College of Education, that has 3 seats, has 2 people. College of Engineering, that has 11 seats, has 6 people that have filed. College of Health and Human Sciences, that has 6 seats, has 2 people who have filed. Grad School, who has 7 seats, has 3 people who have filed, and then nobody for Vet Med has filed. We will also have a debate/forum for student body president, vice president coming up here on February 20th at 11:30 a.m. We're kind of waiting to see what the name of that's going to be, depending on how many candidates file for that. That deadline's coming up on February 11th, so we'll know pretty soon. And again, that'll be in the K-State courtyard, or K-State Union courtyard during lunch.
Are there any questions? Senator Griffith.
How have the seats been being reapportioned between this term and the next?
Yeah, I had a presentation about that at the end of last semester, but Health and Human Sciences lost a seat and the College of Architecture has gained a seat.
Any further questions?
Please go file.
Okay, are there any further directors that would like to give a report? Attorney General Navarro.
Hi, guys. Well, first off, I'm seeing a lot of new faces here, so I'm going to reintroduce myself. So my name is Andrew Navarro. I'm the Attorney General, which is the leader of the judicial branch. And actually, for the new people as well, I'll give a little brief overview about what our branch does. So our branch consists of 23 students, including myself. We break down our branch into 3 boards. So Student Review Board, which hears conduct violations, so your student code of conduct. If you were to violate that, you'd have to see my lovely face. Student Tribunal, which interprets governing docs, also tries bills of impeachment, haven't got any yet, which is a good thing. And also will hear election violations. So they might be a little bit more active now. And then there's our Parking Citations Board, which is super popular. They review they review parking ticket appeals. So if you didn't know, you can appeal your ticket if you ever get one on campus, so please do that. I want to emphasize that we are one of the only, or if not the only school to have the responsibilities that our branch does. And we are very grateful that the university has empowered us to deal with sensitive matters, because a lot of the matters that we do deal with are confidential. They deal with the mental health of students, they deal with addiction, all of these things, and it gains a lot of practical skills for our members, as well as provides student a voice when they come into hearings. I just wanted to give you guys a little report. It's super brief, I hope Brian doesn't cut me off. This might happen though, but I'll be quick. So we had an average number of cases last semester, mainly dealing with alcohol and drug violations, but you will get a more detailed breakdown when Katie delivers her State of the Branch in March. As some of you know, we are doing our Student Code of Conduct revision this year. So we have a committee made up of diverse stakeholders. So we're talking Greek life, resident assistants, rec services, multicultural organizations, and Joseph Lilly. We have gone through our process of reviewing student requests for changes that they wish to see, and we have all the potential revisions drawn up. This semester we'll be focused on actually writing it and then getting it through our legal team and then getting it in front of y'all. And the timeline will probably end up being within the new Senate, but we'll see if that changes. If you have any questions about that, let me know. So remember when I was describing the breakdown of our branch, I'm not going to make it complicated, but the thing that we're going to do this year is we're going to introduce legislation that pretty much allows our members in Student Tribunal and our members in the Student Review Board, as they are 2 different groups, to merge into one. So this doesn't mean that the Student Review Board and the Student Tribunal don't exist anymore. These are going to be kind of how you guys would do committee meetings. But every single person within our judicial, all of our judicial members will be eligible to serve on either one. The reason why we're doing this is because Student Tribunal has not met at all this year, which sucks. But it actually means that you guys are doing a really good job, because we didn't have to interpret anything. You guys are making good bills, all that stuff. And we want to be able to engage those folks as well within our decision-making process and give them experience, because we have really a lot of quality individuals there. So one thing that I kind of wanted to reach out to you guys is say, if you haven't done any legislative writing and you're interested in learning a little bit or wanting to help out with this, I totally understand. Editing governing docs is probably not the sexiest thing that you can do. But if you would like to, please let me know. And then we can set up a time and we can kind of go through it. I used to be a sender. I would love to kind of, brush off the rust. And yeah, so that'd be awesome. And then recruitment for our branch starts in March. So if you or anyone you know is interested, reach out to myself or Katie Albertson, who will be leading the branch next year. And I wanted to end this report to tell you that although we may not really interact with you all, and this probably will be one of the only times you'll see me this semester, considering that we have cases when you guys have Senate, I would like to just say that I appreciate all the work that you guys do for the student body. I was once a senator, and I was impressed with all the ideas that senators had to improve the life of students, and I remain impressed when I hear about legislation coming out of this body today. I do not doubt that you all will continue this long-standing tradition, and I would like to remind the chamber of all of the great ideas that came out of here, like free mental health checkups at Lafine, the rec came from here, I don't know if you guys know that, Cat's Cupboard, Wildcat Pause Day, shout out Anna, the DEIB fund that has supported hundreds of events on campus, and the judicial branch. Yes, we would not be here without you, and for that, we are very grateful. So thank you, and I yield the rest of my time for any questions y'all got.
Are there any questions? Senator Griffith.
Could you go a little more in detail about your plans for the branch reformation?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, and again, this is kind of in the stages of we're going to do it. Now it's really about, are we going to reduce our membership, maintain our membership? And so right now as we work, our student review board has 7 members and 1 chair. And because of that, we usually do about 5 members per hearing. So it's kind of like on a rotation, but students can be put on hearings 2 weeks in a row because of that, 7-5, right? We could do the math. Our tribunal team hasn't done anything this year. And so we're thinking, well, we put some folks into the tribunal team because we really wanted them to engage with us. We feel like it's unfair to them that they wouldn't be able to participate. And so this whole idea is that saying, would no longer you're a member of student tribunal or a member of student review board, you're a judicial member. And you can serve on the student review board or serve on student tribunal as the future attorney general. This will be enacted next year. We'll see fit.
Senator Shirkey.
Why have you, or I don't know if it's something you're considering, are you considering a similar such approach in regards to the parking citation board? Or do you want to keep that separate?
So, the parking citation board is like the fun little brother, right? So we really, they kind of stays to, or they kind of stay to themselves a little bit. And the only reason for that is that we're legislated to put up the members for the parking citations board, but ultimately the rules and regulations come out of parking services. So really what we do is we recruit individuals. We make sure that they are receiving, appeals and all this stuff. But overall, what they do is very different, like so different compared to tribunal and student review board. And that's why we're not really touching that part. And it seems like they're doing a good job. So, or maybe not. Maybe you didn't get your appeal right.
Are there any further questions? Chair Sushanik.
Oh.
You've been on the org a long time. Thank you for all that you've done.
Oh, thank you.
What are you most proud of that you've done over the past 4 years?
They make me cry.
That's the goal.
Yeah. What am I most proud of? Well, I mean, I'd be remiss if I weren't to mention, the incredible individuals that are within our judicial branch. We ran recruitment last year, and I was emerging leaders coordinator, so I had some experience with that with Jacob Hoffman. And it was really a pleasure to get to know these students and throughout this whole entire year. Now, if I'm talking about like an individual accomplishment that I'm proud of, I was really proud of the environmental. I don't know if you guys remember, there's like a sustainability petition that went out, and it garnered over 650 student signatures. We were able to set up meetings with the university president, with the provost, the chief of staff, and integrate sustainability, environmental sustainability as students see fit within our campus master plan, which I thought was just really incredible. I mean, I could shout out so many people. Chase, I'm looking at you. I had so much support. Brandon, you too. You made the flyer. So, and that, no, trust me, that flyer is why people signed the petition. So, it was really a collaborative effort, and I really enjoy hearing all the good stuff that's coming out of the Senate now, because the citations, Wildcat Policy, I think that stuff really matters. And we're trying to create a better case state for the future. So, yeah, no, that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Senator Shirkey.
To go back to the technical,
yep.
In the upcoming judicial revision structure, do you envision any change in the relationship between the judicial board and the University Honor Council?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because right now as it stands, our University Honor Council is completely separate. The only thing that really binds us together is that we both do interact with the Office of Student Support. Now, do I see a future in which these boards can interact with each other? Yes. Do I see a future in which the Honor and Integrity Board were to be under our branch? No. And the only reason why I say that is that housing right now, it has kind of, well, in their housing and dining, right? And they have kind of that, you know, they're able to control who's on the Honor and Integrity Board. I doubt that that would be something that they're willing to give up and willing to give to students. Now, it would be something I bet we would welcome. But to be completely frank, I don't foresee that happening in the near future.
Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Also, if you want to pie me or Chief of Staff Kappelman tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., you could put a pie on my face, or Brady Kappelman. That could be awesome. Raising money for Halo. Shout out.
Are there any further directors that would like to give a report? Speaker Pro Tem Heseltine.
Hi all, I just wanted to give a little recap on the things that have been going on with me lately. So part of the ability for the Pro Tem is to be able to conduct an audit of the affiliated student organizations who have received funds. And I am doing that right now. So we have 3 organizations that we've reached out to. We've heard back from 2. If they don't respond, they're ineligible for funding next year. So fingers crossed that third one will respond. And so that's kind of what's been going on there. I also wanted to get something on your calendar. 5:30 to 6:30 on April 17th, President Linton has requested that we have an open forum for students to ask. He didn't really want to come to Senate again because he didn't want his time shortened. So we're having a before Senate open forum where you can basically just come and ask him any questions. There will be food. I'm working with the Office of the President to get it all scheduled, so the location is TBD, but there will be food. So think of questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Are there any further directors who would like to give a report tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will go into college caucus time, if you want to explain that.
Yeah, so we did have the caucus leader of that College of Agriculture resign. And so for the College of Ag, I believe there are 3 of you here, which would meet quorum. So you guys just need to elect yourselves a new caucus leader, and the rest of you just meet with your caucuses and talk to your leader.
Okay, be back at 8:10.
All about that.
And caucus leaders, if you're still in the room, I just sent you all the Zoom link so that you can join that and be able to confer with the people on Zoom.
I should be because I'm not. Okay, man. Okay. We're gonna
relevant actors are just getting that's going to get put
Yeah, so, so to get ready to email. Get a random email from her. So, he's the equivalent
Just go up and do such stuff, just like mixing it. Like he's gonna do some of
his name's Alex. Yeah, Alex. Full name is Ali Hunter.
Basically, you're going up that hill before you get to the lookout. Yes, sir. You're going up that hill. Yes, you see it first on the left, and then you
saw a flat.
Are you
on top? We might lose it for now. We have Yeah. So we can actually like officially for some context. Don't see it as sponsored by
yeah, right.
So though technically if we met
yes, that's a good question. So, what I $25 per.
So we're up here. We got Georgia. But they recently been trying to KSA.
I mean, you can do it. You can make
For example, right now from the there's actually I'm also doing scientific there's a lot I don't know if there's anything at Harvard.
So I did everything. I did everything by paper. I mean, I have the order. So if everyone's ordering, I don't like the order station or everything else. I agree with that. Oh, cool. Correct. Excited about teams?
I am.
You're in your private school.
We're actually share conversations coming in. At least for like day-to-day. Especially like we kind of a little bit.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard.
For me, and also for is there any measure of engineering process allowed to provide aid to the technical
I did what I was supposed to.
They're in that, like,
not the ones in here, the ones up here. McDonald's like a team.
Yes.
So, I mean, so they're actually different pieces. This is from, well, both are from Main Street. They're like, many years ago. Take the filler episode for me for sure. I just wanted to
Boring plot. Do you want me to ask him to put it back up until Safer?
Okay, so send it to you. You're gonna join us, right?
A file.
I was, so I can do that.
You're out of here.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about the timing, like,
Well, also, that was before he was like, yeah, like, whenever you guys send me a file, like, give me like cassette tape.
It's like when you mother like puts it on. Yeah. Tell them
You're right.
That's Ohio. That is good.
That's, I don't know what we can do about that, but I agree.
That's crazy. That's what we do with our TIS stuff. I mean, or anything like that. You know, what's your most successful way using the node?
I'm not gonna contest. I'm not gonna contest the full-time staff.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But I can send it to him. Do you guys have any people you think you want to talk about being a student?
It's hard when people are on Zoom and hard to talk to people.
Oh, text Daisy. Do you have a space? Just text him and be like,
I'd rather like talk time.
hey, do you have time to meet?
I need a break from the microscope.
I'm gonna give you
Yes, like this one.
It's so
I think I have a little bit of an issue with cases, but it should hopefully be fixed. Cases is just hard to get.
I
don't use it.
I find the new way.
Because coming from my side, it was so misunderstanding, like what I take.
That guy, one of the things, SAT chair, every engineering organization for academic competition, better tell their online, they'll have that form. Hey, for money.
Yeah, I like how ours is like.
Yeah.
So, trying to like.
No, they're not anymore. You should join us.
That way.
So that's the thing. Her name is Sean.
Our leaders don't resign, but it's not that I'm.
It's either Sarah, Vanessa, or
Liability?
Yeah, she's still works there, so you can definitely reach her.
Teams that are so successful that we have to build them worse and less successful because we are at risk of violating federal law by overperforming, breaking an altitude ceiling, and making a very unhappy FAA officers. Yeah. So we only, if you go like, that's true, yes. Yes. But we annoy them by going above 50,000 feet, which is like pretty darn close to space.
Whenever I do finally graduate,
Close enough, but it's just hard to. And, yeah.
I'm on.
Is that new like this year?
They've had it, but I think it's more expensive than it's like $1,000.
Yeah. I already asked.
I'm gonna say I can say for forever, so that's why I want the purple one.
Yes.
Okay. I don't go up there very often, so.
I don't know. I mean, I now intentionally don't go. So it always reminds me of how. But once I do graduate, though, I will probably be over it.
And I'm also
By yourself.
With like embroidery.
I need to find out. I don't remember if the Student Advisory Council or
More days.
State sales law or whatever they are.
Well, yeah, so like there were different sleeves. Yeah, so no, okay, so the gown is slightly different. The hood, well, decide to have your thing versus and then your hood is bigger. Your PhD is like all the way down here. And then the hat is different too. Like PhD hat is the like octagon.
I'm losing my mind. I never claimed to be good at
We say that all the time.
Okay, let's come back to order.
Alrighty, congratulations to Audrey Byers, our new caucus leader for the College of Agriculture.
Okay, with that, we will now go into the introduction of legislation. The first is Bill 52. Is there a motion to consider? Senator Carton.
I move to consider Bill 52.
Second.
If the author will please come forward.
Okay. Bill 242552, amendments to the KSU SGA Constitution regarding the publication of minutes. Authors Sophia Glanville, sponsors Benjamin Carton, whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU SGA, should continue to update its governing documents to create a fair and transparent access of information on its happenings to the student body. Whereas KSU SGA has deliberated on how best it can be transparent and involve the student body that it serves. Whereas students should have access to the minutes that are approved by the Student Senate without having to jump through hoops to obtain a copy of the minutes, as all Student Senate meetings are open to the public according to Article 4, Section 402 of the KSU SGA Constitution. Whereas the taking and record keeping of the minutes falls upon the Speaker pro tempore of the Student Senate. And whereas an amendment to the Constitution to include the job of submitting approved minutes to K-State Today by the Speaker pro tempore would allow for better transparency of the work that the Student Senate and KSU SGA does for students who are not able to come to Student Senate meetings. Be it enacted that Section 1, Article 4, Section 407 shall be amended to read as follows. 407, duties and powers of the Speaker pro tempore of the Student Senate. A, assume the duties of the Speaker of the Student Senate upon the Speaker's removal, death, resignation, inability, or temporary absence, or at the Speaker's request.
You can skip straight to
Oh,
part C.
okay. C,
Submit minutes approved by the Student Senate for publication in K-State Today the day following their approval. Do I need to read the rest of it? Okay. Section 2, this legislation shall take effect upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president.
Are there any questions or correct? Okay. Senator Carton.
Why do you believe that we should be doing this?
In all honesty, when I was starting to be interested in Senate, I had to go through like 12 different channels to get a copy of the minutes, get a copy of the agenda. And we shouldn't have to put that hassle on students who want to stay informed and involved with Student Senate, but are unable to come to Senate and be in person due to other commitments that they already have.
Senator Griffith.
Are the people who run K-State Today open to including the minutes on the announcements?
Anybody can submit anything to K-State Today. It's just a form. So you just go on there, you fill out the form, and then the people who run the IT for that add it into the email that gets sent to everybody.
Caucus Leader Black.
Yeah, I kind of share your thoughts about that, because when I was interested, it was difficult.
Is there a question?
I'm getting there. it was difficult to find agendas and minutes. What are some? Have you thought about any other avenues for how we could provide access versus just K-State Today?
I have. The other thing I've thought of is adding them to like Org Central, but I don't know if other people can access the files within our Org Central besides us seeing all of them. So that'd be something to toy with, but honestly, everybody gets the K-State Today, so it'd be the easiest way for people to find them without having to do, an internet search of KSU, SGA, Senate meetings, and trying to dig them out themselves from Google.
Caucus Leader Kidd.
Thanks for introducing this. Do we know what Faculty Senate does with their minutes, like how they publicize it to the campus community? If they use K-State Today or?
I am not sure. I don't know much about Faculty Senate, so.
Just curious. Thank you.
Senator Glasscock.
Are the recordings of meetings publicized anywhere?
Yes, they're on the YouTube page.
Okay. Is it possible, because minutes without knowledge of what's happening can sometimes be a little bit weird to look at.
Mhm.
Is it possible that a link to the YouTube page or to the specific meeting could also be put in?
Yeah, honestly, it's however, the way I have it worded, it'd be however the speaker pro temp would like to submit them. However, I know sometimes when I've gone back to watch the YouTube, because I forget what happens sometimes, every once in a while it's hard to understand what's going on, especially since not everybody in the room has a mic. So like when we ask questions or doing like roll call voting, it's hard to understand who says what. This would just allow for like a clear addition to what we do.
Senator Kermer.
Just a small correction. The title amendments should not be plural.
Chair Sushanic.
Is there any concern that by putting something from SGA out every week that we're detracting away from when we have something really important to say? Like if we are always flooding with information of what we're doing, does that take away the focus when we really want to get someone's attention?
Personally, I don't think so, because I think everything that we do is important. So it should be fair and accessible for everybody to have it. And if somebody comes in and asks for the minutes, since we're an open meeting, we have to follow the Kansas Open Records Act anyways. This kind of just mitigates having to ask multiple people for that source of information.
Senator Shirkey.
I have a point of clarification followed by a question. The point of clarification regards the minutes question from earlier for Faculty Senate. It's on their website. It's like 4 or 5 clicks down. We do have a website in theory. We could post them there. I don't know if we do because I've never checked it, but that would be another path. My question for the author is about the deadline that is proposed here. So currently approved by the Student Senate, and then the day following their approval, So we're delayed by a week Friday, plus in reality there's going to be processing time, so like the minimum is Monday. Is there any specific reason for that deadline? Are there any really important like factors to that, or is it just kind of arbitrary based on the bureaucratic speed?
I would say it's probably arbitrary, just so we know it gets done. That day kind of thing is we know it's approved, and then it goes out because it's already so delayed in being put out in a sense because we have to approve them first. That kind of like hastens it to be able to be put out to the student body.
Thank you.
Consider kid.
So I know that the language was most likely, as you mentioned before, left open to interpretation for how this were to be executed by the speaker, pro tempore. But did your vision of this, does it align more with like a more subject-based summary of what happened during the meeting, or just like a generic, here are the minutes, read them, like every single time in the K-State Today? What did you envision with like what that would look like?
I envisioned it to have our full minutes because that's what we get, so it has all the information. I know sometimes summaries can get lost in the sauce, I guess. And I believe that because of the Kansas Open Records Act, if somebody wanted the full minutes, they can have them anyways. So just publicizing those already, it could definitely be, because you can do attachments to K-State Today. So it could be a summary. If somebody doesn't want to read the whole minutes, great, but then attach, PDF copy of our minutes. So if somebody wants to go in depth, they can.
Consider Black.
Why not do this? Why not do this with the agenda instead of the minutes, so students would have an opportunity to know what's going to happen before and be able to actually read through legislation?
I know our agendas don't have to be sent out until 24 hours in advance of our meetings. To be able to publish something in K-State Today, there's like time frame that they give. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is, but it's longer than that period. So unless we had like really special connections, that could be like, here's a special edition of K-State Today. I feasibly didn't see that working.
Chair Suchanek.
Wouldn't we be able to get the agenda out a week before the minutes of that meeting so that someone could still come for final action if there was something interesting on the agenda?
I'm not sure.
Oh, no, because when Ops meets on Tuesday, basically the earliest possible we could get it out is the Tuesday night of the week of Senate. Chair Lilly.
I think she's saying the agenda, if you see something in introduction on the agenda, you will know it's in final action.
Oh, yeah. Senator Kermer.
Probably a question for you, but do you know the next time that the JCOC
Next term is when they convene. Consider Kid.
So I want to ask this to make sure it's germane to what we're looking at right now. But on the topic of the platform being used to get this out to students, being the K-State Today, that in basic form is just a mass listserv. Isn't there already another like SGA related listserv that all students are in that could also be utilized potentially for this? Question mark.
Yes. Who has access to it? I don't know. Yes.
Okay.
Sort of.
Follow up?
Yes.
So if the populations of both are there and perhaps consistent between the two, using the SGA one, wouldn't that be an easier approach to potentially easily disseminate information without the caution of a timeline or anything along those lines?
Sure. Possibly. You're just saying just emailing instead of putting in the K-State Today?
I'm just asking. People can make their own interpretations. I'm just asking what our options are.
Yeah, I would say, well, there's the Student Programs and Involvement newsletter, the K-State Today, and email, I would say, are probably the three options. So any of those are in the realm of possibility.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Speaker Pro Tem has some time.
So I just have a point of information. All of the minutes for every single Senate are posted on Org Central if you want to see them. I guess what my question is, do you think there's potentially another avenue that we could go for, sort of to Senator Glasscock's point, that minutes without context don't really make any sense, and also it is not legislated how someone writes minutes. So if I just wanted to write Senate happened, that would be fine. And I just worry that giving minutes out when I could really write whatever is not going to provide context that you're hoping to give students. The question was, is there another avenue that would help educate students on what we're doing rather than disseminating minutes that may not be really interpretable?
I definitely believe in the capabilities of everybody in this body, so I don't think a pro temp would do that. Hopefully they wouldn't. But honestly, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it a little more. When I sat down to write this, I know that everybody gets this, and I have faith in the capabilities of our body. So knowing that our body does the extent of their jobs the way they're supposed to, made the assumption that, they'd be understandable minutes to any Joe Schmo, I guess.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Shirkey?
Yeah, I have a question that maybe should be addressed to the speaker instead. Are there any technical issues from a constitutional point of view of putting an amendment in the Constitution directed at a specific entity like K-State today? Or are we supposed to keep it general by saying posted in media in 1 week after the meeting or something?
There's no technical requirement that we couldn't do it if it passed. Are there any further questions or corrections? Okay, seeing none, thank you. With that, we will now move on to Bill 53. Is there a motion to consider? Senator Kermer.
Consider Bill.
Second.
The author will please come forward.
All right, Bill 242553, disbursement of reserve for contingencies balance. Authors Gavin Strunk, sponsors no one yet. Whereas the Student Allocations Committee utilizes the campus organization's line item of the student activity fee, which is dispersed from the reserve contingencies account for its allocations. Whereas, what? Whereas the campus organization's line item budget for the Student Allocations Committee is $39,893. And whereas the Student Allocations Committee has a balance of $8,613 remaining in the aforementioned budget, whereas the Student Allocations Committee has 10 outstanding applications totaling $27,170 in requested funds as of the writing of this bill, whereas Section 07-0103 subsection F, paragraph 4 of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association statutes stipulates, at the discretion of the Student Allocations Standing Committee and with approval from Student Senate, up to $10,000 in additional funds may be distributed dispersed from the Reserves for Contingencies account, NISA Conserve, to campus-wide organizations each fiscal year. These additional funds shall not be limited by above requirements and may be used for any organization's request for the current fiscal year. Whereas this disbursement will raise the total campus organization's budget to $49,893 with a usable budget of $18,000 $613, and whereas the estimated budget of the reserve contingencies account is $159,600, being enacted that Section 1, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, $10,000 shall be dispersed from NISA Conserve to the campus organizations line item. Yeah, can we eliminate the whereas?
Yes. Are there any further questions or corrections? Cinder Glasscock.
On line 37, dispersed is spelled wrong.
Cinder Shirky.
I have a correction on line 9. The word activity is spelled incorrectly. And
you wrote that.
And on line 37, this is a correction if we need to do it, a question if we don't. Do we need the word shall after the number value? 10,000 shall be dispersed? If so.
Okay. Caucus Leader Kidd.
I have a question, and I'm not questioning necessarily the account code, but typically with, never mind.
Also, yeah, on line 37, it's Nissan RV. There should be an S.
Perfect, thank you. I thought it was same thing.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Cinder Shirky.
I have a question. Does the student body president need to sign on this legislation?
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Any further questions or corrections? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Okay, with that, we will go into second open period. Are there any second open period speakers? Senator Lee, or Chair Lee.
Perfect. If Brian, could you pull up what I just sent you?
Working on it.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, folks. So, great news. So based on the resolution that we passed last semester, so January 21 marks the start of the Donations for Citations program, and I'm happy to announce that it's now up and running. You might have seen the K-State today. I know some classes have been talking about it, and I got students to actually design some graphics and stuff. So putting our money to good use, and they did a really good job with this cool flyer. I'm happy to share it with all of you guys. So you guys can share it among your groups. But it's up and running. So tell all your folks again. You get one ticket per year for academic year that can be reduced down to a warning if you donate 10 or more items. The items needed is listed on the flyer, and it has to be dropped off at the K-State parking garage. However, me and our basic needs coordinator, Adelaide, are working together to kind of develop a routine schedule for stations, because again, that's one of our things. 2 or 3 weeks or so to be able to drop services, 2 cats covered, and so we're developing a plan. So just be on the lookout. Again, literally, it would be like a less than a 1 hour type deal. If you can volunteer some of your time during your day, that would be awesome and amazing. So yeah.
Any questions? Senator Hoffman.
Yeah, I just have a question over the poster. It took me 5 minutes and 3 different people to figure out what the citations meant, and I knew what the program was. Is the flyer font, is that set?
Can you say that one more time? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, no problem. So the donations for citations at the top of the flyers, I didn't know what that word was. It took me 3 different people to figure that out. And so I'm just wondering if the font on the poster is set.
I could talk to Riley at Student Design Services to kind of fix it. I thought it was okay. I don't know.
I like it. I just can't read it.
It's the A. The A really messes me up.
Are there any further questions for Andrew? Okay, seeing none, do we have any further second? Senator Carton.
Try to make this short and sweet. If you haven't seen on K-State today, I do want to give a huge shout out to our landscape services here at Kansas State University for removing about 14.5 inches of snow across, oh gosh, how many acres? About 100 acres of K-State campus. So without them, once we came back to school, we would not be able to actually access any of our buildings. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. And yes, I work with them. And no, I was not here helping them. So it's all them.
Are there any further second open period speakers? Senator Shirkey.
Do you really want me to pull up a full Excel file?
No. I just sent that to you since I'm not an officer. I don't think I have the authority to just send things in the SGA email. So I know you're an officer. So I'm sure you can do that if you want to. So this is just a short brief with the advice and assistance of the DEIB chair and the SAC chair. Last semester, sent out a survey through SPI, got data on a couple of things, got some data on open house for the average student organizations, and then questions about the degrees of funding between whether student groups get like most of their support from SGA, where they get most from their college, etc. Unfortunately, so for those of you that don't know a lot about statistics, there's a like minimum number of respondents you need in order to have like be able to prove something from a survey. In this context, that's like 100. Got 36 respondents, great. Can't prove anything for certain with it. Only notable findings for about a little more than half of the respondents do not get funding from SGA. That means even among our most like dedicated, like they're checking all their emails, they're answering everything, even if it's not a committee chair sending it to them, they still don't receive that, a lot of active support from SGA. And, that's just something to keep in mind as we're making legislative decisions about these committees, is that there's a lot of groups that aren't directly involved with SGA. They're not going to know what's going on until our policies come into effect on top of them. The only other interesting thing was that 80% of the DEIB-related respondents expressed an interest in at least considering travel events if they were allowed to fund travel events through their funding scheme. And then that's about it. You guys in your email will have like the Excel file if you actually want to look through the survey yourself. So,
are there any questions for the speaker? Okay, seeing none, are there any further second open period speeches? Chair Sushanik.
I love it. Do I have to go? I have to go.
Okay, this is a really fun thing. Every year in honor of Kansas Day, which was yesterday, Senate traditionally sings a little rendition of Home on the Range. So that is what we will all be subjected to now, because I love a tradition and we didn't do it last year, so we're doing it this year. I don't think we did it last year. Oh, I
Can we get the parliamentarian lyric?
Yeah, what he said. Can we get the parliamentarian? 1 second. Hold on.
Oh, wow. This is
Happy Kansas Day.
Oh, while they're pulling it up, I do need to market something. The bowling alley is having a grand reopening tomorrow between 4 and 6. Free pizza, free bowling, and free sodas for everyone who comes. Please come. I have to work and I don't want to be bored. 4 to 6 tomorrow. Yep, you got it. 4 to 6. 4 to 6.
Hopefully this is accurate. We'll see.
Everyone has to sing along. It's funny.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Happy birthday,
Are there any further second open period speakers? Okay, seeing none, we'll go into reference of legislation, and Bill 52 will be referred to the Senate Operations Committee, and 53 to the Student Allocations Committee, and Speaker Pro Tem Hesseltine will take it away with Senate shoutouts.
Shout out to Andrew liking crops more than meat. Shout out to Brian for showing us what words are being read. Katie for enjoying fake smells. Shout out to the first Senate of the semester, Rust. Shout out to Andrew because he's Andrew. Shout out to Parking Citations Appeal Board for being the fun little brother of the judicial branch. Shout out Andrew Lee's microphone. Shout out watching the women's basketball game during Senate. Shout out to Senator Glanville. You look very cutesy today. Shout out to Brandon's flyer making skills. Shout out to Chair Lee's muffled voice on high. I can't be the only one who believes that rain doesn't smell good. I'm not crazy. Was that you, Max?
That wasn't on me.
Shout out to Sassing Brian. Shout out to Whereas. Shout out to Captain Lilly, who after digging into camps for the winter has begun his winter offensive against the vacancy horde. Fortune favors the bold captain dismissed. Shout out to Senator Hoffman for utterly destroying the rest of SGA in fantasy football this year. I'm sure you are patiently awaiting your commendation to be delivered to you by the Elections Commissioner Kermer, as is your right. Shout out to two redheads getting sworn into the Elections Promotion Commission. Shout out to Donations for Citrus. Shout out to Rox. Shout out to Senator Hoffman on his new fantastic fit. He and Captain Lilly should fight over who has the best. Okay. Shout out to Brian's face when Andrew Navarro said sexy. Shout out to climate change. We just love our planet approaching shout out to the Donations for Citations logo looking like it's melting off the poster. Maybe go back to the drawing board on that one. Shout out to Pro Tem Hesseltine for pro temping for the first being back. I'm glad to be back. Ka-chow. Shout out to K-State's Golden Board Will Howard on winning a national championship. We wish you luck in the NFL. And what games do deer and antelope play exactly?
Okay, with that, Speaker Pro Tem Hesseltine will take it away with our second roll call.
Alvarez. Here. Bailey.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Blood.
Here.
Bolton. Brugan. Casement.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Cox. Ediger. Erickson.
Here.
George. Okay. Giefer.
Here.
Glanville.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Yeah.
Hassan Shakib. Hannah. Hoffman. Holmes. Holzmeister. Islam. Jacobson Madeline. Jacobson Michael. Jonak. Carton.
Here.
Kidd.
Here.
Kermer.
Here.
Kramer.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
McCullough.
Here.
Maltz.
Here.
Nagai Velasquez. Otto.
Here.
Owen.
Here.
Polanco.
Here.
Prey.
Here.
Robbie.
Here.
Rafferty.
Here.
Richenberg.
Here.
Ramirez is here. No? Yes?
Oh, he's here.
Sorry. Well, I had him X'd off for the beginning because he wasn't sworn in. Shah Savari. Yes. Shirky.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
Weaver. Zacco.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Caucus Leader Black.
I move to adjourn until February 6th at 7 o'clock at Wildcat Chambers. Second.
We're adjourned.